All right, to Matters of the Heart. This program will be inspiring to you and it will be a blessing to you. If you're connecting for the first time, Matters of the Heart is a relationship program both for singles and the married. I trust that you would, if you're connecting for the first time, by the time we are done with today's episode, you have reasons to want to connect every Saturday. He holds every Saturday 8:30 p.m. West African time, or if you wish to call it Nigerian time. All right, right about now, I'd like for you to share the link to all your contacts on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Share the link, invite them to be a interesting program that is meant to make relationships and marriages flourish. All right, so share the link and invite your friends, and I trust that they will be glad you invited them. Okay, today we are discussing transparency both in premarital relationships and in marriage. Transparency, but of course, the way we wrote the title is transparent, then transparency, because transparency is about actually nothing being hidden, or it's about everything being visible, being seeable, if you would permit me to use that word. Right, so transparency, like I said, both in premarital relationships and in marital relationships. So the question is transparency required in a relationship? And a simple answer to that is yes, and it's a capital yes. Transparency is required in a relationship. Even in casual friendship relationships, transparency is required. Yes, because trust is built around transparency. If someone trusts you only to find out that there are things you're hiding from him or her that you ought to have disclosed, that trust is destroyed. So even casual friendships, man to man friendship, colleague friendships, they require transparency, at least to some extent, let alone marriage or a marriage bound relationship. So transparency is important in a marriage or pre-marriage relationship. It is very important. You should be transparent to your partner. You should be transparent to your spouse. However, the question is, what extent of transparency is required? That is where the issue is. What extent of transparency is required? Now, my take is this, and I want you to know that I'm sound. Yes, I'm sound and I'm well read in this area. Yes, I'm prepared for it. So I would like you to take my advice. Meanwhile, I can see 15 people already on YouTube. God bless you. Welcome to Matters of the Heart. We are discussing transparency. Please drop your comments, click on the like button, and subscribe too, so that it can boost our algorithms and our visibility. God bless you as you so do. And one more thing, please share the link to your friends, to your loved ones, to your contacts, so that they'll be a part of it. We are discussing transparency today. Transparency in marriage, transparency in marriage bound premarital relationships. Yes. Now, I said that transparency is important in every. Oh, I can see D383 saying hi, how live stream. Thank you, D383. I am glad to see you. I'm glad to see. Yes, we are live streaming, and I'm glad you are connected. Please share the link, click on the like button, and invite your friends to be part of it. Okay, so the question is, or was, because we've addressed it, but I'm just repeating it because of people who just connected. The first question says, is transparency necessary in a relationship or marriage? And the answer is a capital yes. In fact, it is compulsory to be transparent, especially in marriage, even in premarital relationships, but then especially in marriage. Transparency is compulsory. It's a non-negotiable. Yes, if God said, actually God did, or the Bible says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. If they are one flesh, it means if you're hiding something from your spouse, you're hiding it from yourself. So let me ask you, can you hide something from yourself? Like something you are aware of, can you hide it from yourself? You can see that it's a colomental case. It's not even something to be imagined. That is how it should be in marriage. You should not hide things from your spouse. So the basic rule is transparency is required in marriage and in premarital relationships. Yes, transparency is required. Transparency is required. Yes. However, in premarital relationships, the extent of transparency should just be reasonable, a reasonable extent of transparency, because there are certain things you shouldn't tell someone who is not yet your spouse, who is not yet your wife or husband. You may tell them that thing and eventually just before the marriage the relationship fails and it doesn't lead to marriage, and then they now have access to something that ordinarily should have been strictly confidential, and some of them in bitterness or to react to the fact that you didn't end up marrying them or they didn't marry you, they want to put it out there just to defame you or to how would I say, to ridicule you as it were. So you don't want to do that. Wisdom, the Bible says, is profitable to direct. So like I said, though transparency is required both in marriage and in premarital relationships, and in fact all forms of relationship, the extent of disclosure in premarital relationships should not be the same with the extent of disclosure in marital relationships. Yes, because the truth is, until someone is married he is not married, until someone is married she is not married. Even sometimes a day to the wedding, sometimes on the wedding day some people decide that they want to go their separate ways. That's why you should do it with caution for those that are yet to be married. But if you are married, you and your wife are already one flesh, so in that case you should not even be dragging your feet about being transparent. It is something you should do. It will help you. I remember a man of God preaching and he made a statement which funny enough turned out to be the kind of occurrence on his last day on earth, because he has passed on, he has gone to be with the Lord. All right, so he was saying, you are a man, all your apps on your phone, they are either passworded or there is a face lock or face unlock. You know this technology where by looking at this camera it pictures your face and then unlocks. So he was chiding men that, imagine you as a man, you're using face unlock and too many security codes just because of your unstable ways, just because you don't want to be caught in your tracks. Now imagine that you are involved in an accident. The man was still saying, I'm still reporting what that man said. Imagine that you are involved in an accident and they need to get certain vital information from your phone to save your life, but you have used face this thing to cover to lock it because of your multiple escapades. Now that your face is disconfigured, what are the chances that the device will recognize the face? He said all of those things just to encourage men to, be more open to their wives. But funny enough, he well, let me not go into that really. So you can see, being overly secretive can be detrimental to your relationship, even to you as a person. Yes. So the question is, how does transparency, or how should transparency be applied in marriage? This is my response. Transparency in marriage does not mean absolute disclosure. It just means zero falsehood. I'll repeat. Transparency in marriage does not necessarily mean total disclosure. It simply means zero falsehood. In other words, you don't need to say every single thing to your spouse for it to be seen that you are transparent. No. But again, you don't need to lie about any of those things. So let me give a practical instance. Somehow you fell into sin with another woman. You have a wife, but one thing led to the other. You fell into sin with another woman. You slept with another woman. Now, when I say transparency in marriage does not mean absolute disclosure, I'm saying in a situation like that, for instance, you don't need to go and start telling your wife what she does not know. Yes, what someone does not know does not affect the person, at least for most of the cases. So you don't need to tell your spouse that, oh, sorry, I did this with this other lady. No, you don't need to tell her because she doesn't know. and she may never know. So let it die. You just amend your ways, change your ways, stop that thing you're doing, and then that is it. Are you following the point? However, if your wife finds out maybe from another source and confronts you, you should not lie. So you see how you marry, not necessarily absolute disclosure, but zero falsehood. See how you marry them together. Are you getting the point now? So the crux of the matter today is this. In marriage, transparency does not have to be 100%. No, it doesn't have to be 100%. So I don't know. In marriage, you don't need to tell your wife or your husband everything, especially the things that he or she does not know and may not know, may never get to know. If those things are unpleasant, if those things can demoralize, if those things can tear down, save your spouse the stress. Yes. And just going forward from today, start being the right person for your spouse. Start living right, start doing it right. All those things you did before, every time you have the opportunity to do again, do the opposite. You did wrong before, do the opposite this time. Are you getting the point at all? So you don't need to tell your wife everything. You don't need to. No, for some, the moment you tell them that thing, that is the beginning of the trouble. Yes, the moment you mention that, that's the beginning of the trouble. So please, wisdom is profitable to direct. Yes. So I am in support of disclosure, I am in support of transparency, but I'm saying that it does not necessarily mean absolute disclosure, but it means zero falsehood. So even if you not say everything, but don't lie about anything. Now I want you to declare, if I want you to say after me, say, even if I don't say anything, I will not lie about anything. Very good. So that is a principle of transparency in marriage. Another reason you don't need to, open your mouth wide and start saying things in the name of transparency, is this. Scripturally speaking, the essence of communication should be edification. Scripturally speaking, the focus of communication should be edification. That is to say, the reason you should even be communicating is edification. So if that communication of yours does not have an edification value, then it's of no consequence. So okay, what edification will it serve your wife telling her that you slept with another woman? What edification? Edification means to build up, like a house, to build up. What edification do you have for telling your spouse that you slept with another woman? What edification would you derive from that? Nothing. You are not building up anybody. Instead, you are most likely tearing that woman. She may not say all of it now, but those things are accumulating. So don't be like that. No, don't be. I'm teaching you how to practice transparency. Yes. Practice it with wisdom, but practice it. Are you getting the point at all? Yes, practice it. But then use wisdom. The questions you should ask yourself, or one of the questions to ask yourself is, this thing I want to communicate to my spouse, of what benefit? How will it build up my spouse? How? Is there a way it can build up? If there's no way, so these are things you should put into consideration. Yes. And then on the other side of the coin is this. On the other side of the coin is this. If I'm trying to look for a perfect illustration. Okay, let me just state the fact before I look for illustration. In practicing, this is mostly for those in premarital relationships. In practicing transparency. Be careful who you practice it with, because some people, the moment you fall out with them, the moment you are not in good terms with them, the whole world will hear your story, the whole world will hear everything you told them, and you don't want to be that person. And don't trust anybody to any point where you say no, this person cannot disappoint you. Never. Don't. So number one, be careful who you disclose to. Yes, even if the person is your spouse or a girl you want to marry, be careful who you make your disclosures to. You tell your faults, you tell your weaknesses, you tell your shortcomings. So these are the things. So going forward, we may better be positioned to save our marriages if we don't have to say everything. But if we are asked anything, we will not lie about it. Finally, I want you to know that your spouse is a human being. There are certain information your spouse may not be able to contain, and even if he or she contains it, it may damage the person, one part of the person's mind for life. Yes. So please, I'd like you to, I believe you've heard everything we said. Go back to this teaching, listen to it again. If there are questions, feel free to write to us through this email address, victorokudiri@gmail.com. victorokudiri@gmail.com. Okudiri is OKWUDIRI. I trust you are blessed by this episode, and I look forward to seeing you the following Saturday. That's next week Saturday. All right. Meanwhile, like I said, if you have questions or any of your loved ones ask questions or you want to ask for somebody, please do well to send it to victorokudiri@gmail.com. victorokudiri@gmail.com. Okudiri is spelled OKWUDIRI. The Lord bless you and honor you. So I'll see you next week Saturday. Until then, your relationship will succeed. Bye and peace out.